What's up, my dudes? Today's going to be an update on my investment thesis for Gladstone Land. Gladstone has just been punished almost 20% of their share price. The market seems to be interested in struggling tenants, lease restructuring, and uncertainty. But I think they're all missing the bigger picture. All farms go through some difficult times. One bad season does not mean the asset is worthless. This year, farmers are getting pressured from a lot of different angles. So Gladstone is addressing this by doing lease restructuring, and that makes payouts a little bit less certain. Wall Street is only looking at the immediate problem, which is near-term uncertainty. But I believe that Gladstone is making decisions that is going to position it for success long-term. And as a side note, management did not decrease their dividend, which means that they believe that the current problems are manageable. First, we need to understand what the real assets are, and it's not pistachio trees, buildings, or a hunk of dirt. Gladstone picks up properties in what's known as a triple net sale-leaseback, which means that really the biggest asset Gladstone has is trust. Gladstone helps farmers unlock capital, but it keeps them working the land they've spent years or decades developing. A farm is not just a building and some plants, it's experience and history. A farmer has knowledge and experience of their soil, of the nuances of their land's irrigation, of the local pest control, and of course, the crops. A farmer is not just a drag and drop replacement. Their knowledge and experience is part of the overall value of the land itself. The reality is, while fixed rent is more predictable as long as your tenant is solvent, the participation lease gives more upside potential and maintains the asset intact. If multiple tenants continue struggling, land could see lower income and more uncertainty. The question is whether management is protecting the long-term value of the asset or if they're just delaying problems. I get that trust doesn't pay the bills. At the end of the day, land still needs productive farmland and successful operators. Management is not ignoring the problem, they're adjusting, and the changes appear designed to preserve the long-term relationship with the operators. The importance of the farmer remaining successful cannot be understated. Again, the entire concept of a sale-leaseback is you keep the farmer on their property, if not by the letter of the contract, by the spirit of the agreement. That demonstrates that management understands the long-term value of the asset depends on the success of the farmer. Changing the leases may give the company more upside potential, but it also demonstrates to other potential acquisitions that they are invested in the relationship and their success. Remember, Gladstone's chief asset is trust. Over time, that reputation could become a competitive advantage. A farmer looking for sale-leaseback has options, and a company known for working with operators can become a preferred partner. In a business where relationships matter, trust can create opportunities before a property even reaches the market. There is a big problem that us forward-thinking investors need to be aware of: succession. Young farmers are having difficulty purchasing land, and the current farmers are aging, with many of their children leaving agriculture. Where land can create a competitive advantage is by having the next generation of operators ready. This is where long-term thinking can become a competitive advantage. Now, I don't know if land will do this, but there are two big problems facing our nation. Farmers having succession problems, and there are thousands of young people aging out of the foster care system without a support network. One possibility would be for Gladstone Land to eventually put together a mentorship program, essentially an agriculture succession program whereby the current operators can train the next generation. That would allow farmers to preserve their legacy while at the same time possibly creating a pipeline for future operators and possibly future acquisitions. Again, I don't know if this is something that management is considering, but it is an example of how long-term thinking can create value. Obviously, this is not guaranteed and still has to prove that it can manage tenants, maintain the dividend, and maintain operation across difficult agricultural cycles. But investing is about looking beyond today's problem and see what can create value in the next decade. So my thesis is that management is not abandoning their tenants. They are protecting their key asset, trust. I think the market is seeing the short term uncertainty, while land is positioning itself to be the preferred sale leaseback REIT in this space. That is my opinion. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider subscribing, and I will see you next week.